Hey gang, it's your boy Dad here. Not much of a sleeper a lot of times, suffer from a lot of insomnia. So I thought I would record a little VOD, when I can't sleep, when I'm off and I don't have to work, which means I work a lot with like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. I just like to walk around my little town, I'm on a lake right now, on a pier. They have all these crazy colored lights, it's a lot of fun. Not really sure what I'm recording here. I'm in Florida. It's currently like 50 degrees and rainy. Just kind of wanted to ruminate on some of my background, some of my history, particularly in regards to horror. In video games, my two great passions in life besides my family and what I do for a living. Probably the first horror video game I can remember actually playing, as opposed to just reading about, was Resident Evil 1 for the PlayStation 1. I remember reading all about that in a magazine called Die Hard Game Fan. They were a game retailer that imported a bunch of shit from Japan and other countries and sold it here in the US for exorbitant prices. And they covered the Saturn version heavily, and then eventually the PlayStation version heavily, and it finally came out in the States and I picked it up and really loved it. I think I was like 14, 15 roundabouts, maybe 13 for the original release. In that area, 13, 14, 15. I got the original release, the big black PlayStation box, and then eventually the DualShock release with, I believe it came with an RE2 demo. And I played the shit out of that. I played it over and over and over again. It's cold out here. I don't think there were really a whole hell of a lot of horror games that crossed my path before that. I'd read about Alone in the Dark, and not really anything else. I think I maybe had seen ads for Splatterhouse, but that was a TurboGrafx 16 joint, and that was well beyond the realm of anything I was ever going to come across in my shitty little town. So we went, I believe it was either Walmart or GameStop, picked up Resident Evil. Played the hell out of that over and over again. Since there weren't too many horror games out at the time, it would just be this stupid little teenage dad, not really a dad, that's how I'm referring to myself. Stupid little teenage dad, just headphones on, listening to the Misfits and the Smiths and all the shit I used to love when I was a kid, the Ramones. The Dead Boys, just fucking listen to that shit, and pretty much playing Resident Evil by rote, And I remember I was so excited when the DualShock version came out, because that was supposed to have like the uncensored movie in the beginning and shit, and I don't believe it really did actually, but it was still really, really good. I really enjoyed that franchise. Oh, cops. Ambulance maybe? I don't know. Anywho, what else? House of the Dead series in the arcades. There's a movie theater in my town that had House of the Dead, which is still a perennial favorite. I remember my brother got me that for the PC for my birthday one year. Great game, great game. Love the series. Still a big fan of House of the Dead. House of the Dead Overkill. I took a picture a few years ago and I found a House of the Dead 2 cabinet at a movie theater a town over. My girlfriend and I took the kids to go see something. I forgot what. I'm like shivering here, Jesus. There were a lot of big games I missed out on. Not really sure why exactly, I did have Resident Evil Code Veronica for the Dreamcast, which at the time I couldn't imagine that graphics would ever get any better. You know, it seemed photorealistic to me. Let's see here. That came in the mail right before I had to leave for work, and that was probably, you know, I was a seafood clerk at a grocery store at the time. I was super young. I was like maybe 18 or 19, and that was the only time I've ever been late for work. I called my boss. I was like lying out my ass. I was like, "Hey, yo, having car problems." I wasn't even driving at that fucking point. So I'll be in late. And she was like, "Okay." And so I just dicked around with Resident Evil Code Veronica for a little while, which was not enough to really enjoy it. Just enough to get a taste, load it up, see it, shit like that. It was a hell of an experience. If memory serves, that was the first fully 3D Resident Evil, actually. You know, otherwise, pre-rendered backgrounds. And speaking of prior Resident Evils, Resident Evil 2. Now that, you know, I like a big spooky mansion. Who doesn't? Everybody does, you know? But there was something about, I was, particularly when I was younger, a huge fan of George A. Romero's Living Dead trilogy. Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. He made some others later on in life that I didn't even fucking... I've never seen, like, Diary of the Dead. Or I saw Land of the Dead once, and that was super disappointing to me. But anywho, I was really excited that Resident Evil 2, George Romero directed a Japanese commercial. Live-action zombie commercial. And I remember there was a website called Homepage of the Dead that was for Living Dead nerds. And they had this super shitty, oh my god, super shitty upload. This was, oh my god, when Resident Evil 2 came out. I mean, fuck, what was that, 97? 98? It was an upload of the Japanese commercial, really low resolution and shit, but it was just as amazing as I thought it would be and hoped it would be. And I couldn't believe I was even fucking seeing it, man. I was a big part of the community there for a lot of years. You know, publishing Living Dead fan fiction and shit and dumb shit, but we all had a good time. But, yeah, anyways, Resident Evil 2 came out, and the day I got it, it was a Friday, and my buddy, Chris, and I, we were going to go to this big party, and it was, you know, everybody was waiting on us, and big for us. We were both fucking nerds. We were all fucking nerds back then, you know? But, I kept pushing it off. I'm like, yo, dog, you know, just hold up. Let me watch this intro. Let me just fuck around in the RPD for a little bit. Let me just fucking check this shit out. It's not every fucking day I get Resident Evil fucking 2, you know? And we did eventually make it to the party. I didn't completely duck the party off, you know, for Resident Evil 2, but if he hadn't been there, I totally would have. You know, I do remember that party somewhat. It's been a long fucking time, but I'll remember Resident Evil 2 as long as I can, you know? Shit, as long as my mind holds out. Oddly enough, as much as I enjoyed Resident Evil 1 and 2, I never played 3, which is why I'm so stoked to play the remake. You know, I know it's quite different, but, you know, I'm interested. I played like the first 5 minutes of it a couple nights ago when I picked it up. But, of course, I'm going to play through it on stream. Oh, my God, I'm like fucking... Oh, my God, I'm so fucking cold. I know 50 degrees ain't much for most of y'all, but here in Florida, we don't get exposed to that shit too much. Yeah, I never played RE3. RE4 came out, and I actually had that. Not on the GameCube, even though I was a big GameCube fan. At the time, I was married, and my oldest daughter had just been born. She just turned 18. Happy birthday, honey. But, I never got it on the GameCube. I got it on the PlayStation 2 for some fucked up reason. I've got a lot of great memories of the GameCube. Prince of Persia, Sands of Time, amazing fuck. I still think that is like the best love story in gaming right there. Sands of Time. Fucking Beautiful Joe, amazing fucking game. Love Beautiful Joe. I'd love to get a collection of that on like you know, modern day console. Shit, man. It was an amazing fucking game. Metroid Prime. Amazing. Anywho, I got Resident Evil 2 on the PS2, and that was an amazing fucking game. At the time, the QTE, oh my god, my pecs are shaking. Pecs, you know, covered in fat, but they're still pecs. So cold. At the time, the QTE was like some like monumental shit. Like, holy shit, look, you can do all this fucking complex shit with fucking a few simple button presses, you know? Nowadays, it's funny how the tables have turned on QTEs, but at the time, they were pretty historic, I guess. First game I can remember with them anyways. Maybe they existed beforehand, but that was a real paradigm shift for the RE franchise. Of course, it was had the dynamic behind the back view, which oddly enough can be somewhat replicated. I found in my playthrough of Silent Hill 2. But you got to hold down like the left friggin' shoulder button and keep it out there. But in the streets of Silent Hill, it will somewhat replicate that. Not entirely, but yeah, Resident Evil 4 it was definitely great, and it brought an action focus to the franchise that I thought was refreshing, and I still think it's refreshing. You know, I'm not a big fan of puzzles. I'm getting there though. I feel like I wrote off survival horror for a long time, and I kind of got this thing in my head where like fucking like all these puzzles are bullshit. You got to go take a fucking gem out of a tiger statue's ass and put it into an elephant's fucking eye to open up a laboratory, and then you got to make a fucking mustache out of a cat's fur to get past the guard. You know, it's just, and there are games with puzzles like that, and it's fucking annoying, but you can learn to tolerate almost anything, I guess. Yeah, you know, I'm coming back around on survival horror because of this series, or because of my channel and everything. I never played any of the Silent Hills until a month ago, I guess, when I did Silent Hill 2. And that was an amazing fucking revelation. I think what stopped me from playing them is that I didn't realize, and this is fucking dumb, if I'd done some more fucking research, I could have known this, but I didn't know they had combat. I thought they were just like fucking like proto walking simulators, which is something I just can't fucking bring myself to enjoy, you know? Maybe if I give myself some time, you know, maybe if I get more ingrained into getting back into survival horror and back into puzzles in general, maybe I can learn to tolerate a walking sim. I know it's kind of a pejorative term, but you know, a survival horror game without the survival, you know, just being scared, no combat, like a D's Diner or something. To me, I can't really see the appeal, but maybe I'll get there. Hey, you can always teach an old dog new tricks, I guess. But if I had known then what I know now, that the Silent Hill series does indeed have combat, and it's really good and really fun and really tense and scary and dark and depressing and oppressive. Shit, man, I would have been there. I saw previews. I read previews on Silent Hill 1, 2, you know, in magazines and shit. I don't remember magazine previews of 2, but definitely Silent Hill 1. And you know, I would have loved to have been there for the journey while it was happening. So that's why I'm kind of excited by all this resurgence of Silent Hill talk, and hopefully maybe they will bring something new out. But you know, my history of horror and gaming pretty much exists within the realm of Resident Evil and now Silent Hill, and that's really it. Everything else I just tried for a few minutes here and there and gave up on. Tried the Evil Within years ago and did like half an hour and ducked out, and now I'm really enjoying my Evil Within 2 playthrough. A lot of fun. something, I'm definitely getting something out of this, because I am a huge horror fan, and my history with horror goes way back to before I can consciously remember what was going on. You know, I remember my parents having VHS tapes with, you know, like I Spit on Your Grave, you know, copies of copies of copies of copies, probably. Chopping Mall, and I didn't know what the fuck I was watching. One of my favorite all-time memories, I was about 7 or 8 years old, and my mom took us to a drive-through in a little town in Vermont, where we were living at the time, and I saw fucking RoboCop and Poltergeist 2 at a double feature, and it was amazing. The closest thing I've ever had to a religious experience in my fucking life. It was a fucking revelation, man. The 80s dudes doing cocaine off toilet seats, dudes getting their hands blown off, fucking dudes getting acid dumped on them, bitches leaving, you know, and it was amazing. Fucking that creepy old guy in Poltergeist 2, man, I didn't know what the fuck to think. It was an amazing experience, and I'll carry that with me till the day I die, I hope. Unless, you know, like dementia takes me or something, which always a possibility, I guess. But I've got nothing but positive memories related to horror, man. The first movies I was allowed to rent, my parents let me choose anyways, were again in Vermont. And it was Monster Squad and Friday the 13th Part 6. Now I had seen, hold on, let's make sure shit ain't on fire here. Okay, no, okay. Fucking work never leaves me alone. Anyways, I had seen Friday the 13th movies kind of here and there, piecemeal, you know, not really knowing which was which, what the fuck. It was like some fever dream, you know. Here's a dude in a mask, here's a dude in a bag, this woman's dead, this fucking dude's fucking cut in half, you know. So it wasn't until I was probably 9 or 10 that I started watching them and understanding the timeline and the coherent overarching story and mythology of the series and stuff. And that's about the time I got on Nightmare on Elm Street. Never really fucked with Hellraiser too heavy. Candyman, fucking all kinds of good shit, man. That was a real golden age, you know. Even to this day, I can watch Nightmare on Elm Street or Friday the 13th. I've seen them all a billion fucking times, and they never cease to make me smile. You know, they remind me of fucking, you know, the good old days, fucking, you know, Pizza Hut red fucking glasses and fucking Land Before Time puppets and fucking TMNT cartoons and shit. Those were all great fucking times. It was a great time to grow up. But, you know, it's always a great time to grow up. I've heard people say that the best of everything existed when you were 12 years old. Now, that's not me specifically, but to everybody, the coolest shit that you'll love the rest of your life was always the shit that was around when you were 12, you know? And I think there's some truth to that. You know, maybe 12 isn't the magic number, but fucking around that era in your life, you know? You know, the shit that kind of when you were forming your core self. And I don't personally believe that people ever really grow up a whole lot beyond being older teenagers, you know? Internally, anyways. But, you know, I see the same thing with my kids, you know? They fucking grew up loving Adventure Time, and they love, like, Insidious and Paranormal Activity and shit like that, you know? That shit was all coming out when they were around that age. And those are great movies too, man. I love the Blumhouse shit. We all love the Blumhouse shit. It's great family. If you've got a spooky family, and if you've got a spooky family, I assume you know what I fucking mean by spooky family. If you've got a spooky family, then Blumhouse shit, Paranormal Activity, Insidious, all that shit is a great family fare, you know? The Annabelle series is a lot of dumb fun, especially the latest one, Annabelle Creations or Comes Home or some bullshit like that. Really good time. And you know, since I've been so ingrained on the internet, since I was like fucking 13, 14 years old, back in the early 90s, You know, emulation, as far as gaming, has always been a big part of my life. Even back when they were struggling to emulate fucking NES games and shit, some of them. I remember when Bleem came out, and it was like, while the PS1 was like still a fucking thing, and somebody figured out how to like fucking emulate PS1 games, which was fucking amazing, like pretty damn near perfectly, if memory serves. I remember playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night on my fucking computer, my shitty like Pentium 866 megahertz fucking, you know, emulating the PS1. That was pretty fucking big deal. Castlevania, that's another fucking great horror series, as far as I'm concerned. Where the fuck was I going with this? Oh yeah, emulation, you know, fucking one of probably the most amazing experiences I've had, and I haven't really put too much time into it, but the fact that me, some dumbass in small town America, was able to play Sweet Home in English, you know, was fucking amazing, you know. A Japanese Nintendo horror RPG that was fucking based on a Japanese movie property. It was pretty fucking amazing to me. I still think that's amazing, that the way the internet has connected the world like that and kind of made the world smaller. I would like to think more comfy, you know. The internet gets a bad rap, and it's changed a lot over the years, but I still think it's a net positive for humanity, you know. Yeah, this is just a little rant, man. A little rant on my history with horror and how it's changed my fucking life, and how much I love it. And just wanted to throw this up here. If you watch it, you watch it. If you don't, you don't. That's cool, dog. I appreciate anybody who does watch this, and I appreciate all the love and support my streams, and you know, hopefully my increased support on YouTube will get, you know, the best parts about this weird streaming journey I've been on have been interacting with you guys, man. People hopping into chat, people playing games with me and shit. I had some great times playing Dead by Daylight, and Friday the 13th, which is another thing. I can't believe I'm playing a fucking Friday the 13th game. You know, that isn't the shitty square one I love so much from the NES. There have been so many things I never thought I'd live to witness, man. Fucking Evil Dead Burger King cups, fucking new Friday the 13th video games, good graphics and shit like that actually play like a Friday the 13th movie. It's been quite a life for a horror fan, you know. Great time, really. And I'm glad you could share a few minutes with me, and I'm happy to share a few minutes with you. And thank you everybody who watches and interacts with me and comments and gets in the chat and likes my shit. I appreciate all of you. It's a real gas, as they say, in like the 20s. All right, this is Dad. Rant done with my dumb bullshit. Have a great rest of your whatever the fuck day you're watching this. Bye.